Mia is currently a student in Year 9. It is evident that many developmental factors correspond with each other within the vignette and negatively impact Mia's overall academic and well-being.
Cognitive development is a key issue raised in the vignette, specifically as Mia suggests that she likes math and science but struggles to maintain course content. Harrington et al. Describes information learnt at school as working memory. Working memory is where we store information, sort of like a mental workspace. It is clear that Mia is experiencing difficulties in her working memory, which could be due to how she is working extra hours while still at school, due to her being from a low economic status, as well as the unfortunate stress and humiliation that she may be experiencing with cyberbullying. By understanding how our memory is processed into both long-term and short-term memory, we can assess how information is being processed by Mia, especially in content-heavy subjects like science and math. Since Mia is going on her phone often in class, it is possible that she is suffering from an attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, also known as ADHD, although that is just speculation as it has not been diagnosed. It is clear that she excels in sports and visual arts, meaning her working memory can very easily process creative information, potentially due to the fact that it is more engaging than maths or science. By working with teachers, and with Mia directly, it may be possible to develop a method of study that will help her working memory retain long-term memory. Utilizing and encouraging a growth mindset at Mia's stage of development can have a significant impact on her working memory by developing her personal resilience. While encouraging a growth mindset is helpful, it does not fully address what is impacting her cognitive development and how teachers can assist her. According to Fancourt et al., there are two main ways to support a student like Mia with a poorer working memory. One of which being individual tutoring to advance her working memory capacity, or alternatively, making changes to her learning environment, less clutter, more focus on the task, so that her brain does not need to process unnecessary information while she learns. The second approach is to consider what situations could cause her to experience memory overload and to cease them before they even begin, or even just by eliminating the distractions that she's experiencing in her classes, for example, her phone. However, the overarching issue of cyberbullying must be addressed first in order for Mia to be fully present in class and in her academic studies, as she is clearly distressed during class. De Jong believed in a concept known as cognitive load theory, with this theory suggesting that all people, children and adults included, have a capacity in their working memory. When the peak is reached, individuals will fail to maintain most of the content they just received. Teachers must also be considerate of students like Mia and adjust their content specific to them. Therefore, it is important for teachers themselves to avoid overload in the curriculum that they are presenting. It is clear that Mia's working memory is being overloaded with stimuli such as her phone, the work that she's doing, and just being a victim of cyberbullying. These methods mentioned previously will not be effective without first addressing these outside sources that are impacting her experience at school. By putting forward both De Jong and Fancourt's ideas of limiting cognitive overload, teachers at Mia's school should be able to offer her with the support and encouragement she needs to overcome these hurdles. The teachers at Mia's school should first address the cyberbullying issue and solve it at once, whilst offering counselling to Mia due to her trauma that she would have faced from this bullying. The school should also seek to offer support at home so she does not need to work more than needed, whilst also the school being in communication with her parents to ensure that they understand what is needed from them as Mia's parents. With these issues addressed, Mia should be able to free her cognitive load to focus on maths and science while still enjoying sports and visual arts. An advantage to reducing her cognitive load would be an increased security at school, knowing that she can excel in whatever she wants to further promote a growth mindset and encourage her in her studies, knowing that she is more than capable of retaining this information. Although a disadvantage to this would most likely come more to a cost of the teachers rather than Mia. By tailoring work and content to a student like Mia, it is beneficial. It does require additional investment from the teacher. This teacher is the same teacher that is dealing with other classes and multiple students. So without the proper investment in counselling from a teacher, it could have an ebb and flow effect into Mia and be received poorly by Mia, and potentially make her feel not as smart as the other students due to a reduced workload.
And she likes mathematics and science, and she seems keen to engage in tertiary education, which is all amazing factors. However, one biological factor which separates her from the rest of her peers is that she is physically more developed than them. And now this can come with some advantages. Example, this may be a leading factor for her to excel in sports compared to the rest of the class. However, in saying that, it also comes with some disadvantages. According to Rice Mindy in 1993, she said that early onset puberty triggers a part of the brain called the hypothalamus, and it causes a hormone to be released called GnRH. And another two authors, Hoyt and Chaku, in 2020 suggested that early maturing girls find puberty adjustments especially challenging, and it's been associated with weight gain and some negative, health outcomes, And based off Mindy's situation, we can see that she's actually being cyberbullied, and we can assume that this is because of her physical characteristics which differ from the rest of her class. And as well, they've seen that whenever she goes on her phone, she comes back very distressed. Now this, coupled with the negative self-esteem, which may result in her looking different from the rest of the class, may be the reason which impacts her focus in class, her ability to retain information. And now that we've established her strengths and the matters which cause her difficulty, we want to get rid of those matters that cause her difficulty using her strengths. And so one thing that I suggest is firstly educating her and the rest of her class about these physical developments that begin to happen around her age and a bit older. So she knows that she is normal, she's not an outlier, and so the rest of the class can also understand that she is normal just like them. And as well, I would propose using her strengths. Example, one would convey to her that she loves example sports and she engages in sports, and that these physical abilities help her achieve her goal in engaging in sports. She likes science, so let's use science. We'll talk to her from a science perspective. We'll teach her these physical changes that happen in her body, actual scientific changes, and this will help her have a positive outcome, a positive perspective about these changes. We can also talk to her from a visual arts perspective. She can use these arts to express how she feels and express her situation, to encourage conversation between her, her peers, and her teacher. And finally, the disadvantage behind these is that not everyone will understand her situation. Even if you educate them, there will still be some people who may bully her. However, when you use these matters which she likes, these topics she likes, she engages in, and we use these topics which she enjoys to teach her that these changes are actually advantageous for her and they are normal, hopefully this will help her have a positive perspective about her situation. Thank you.
From Mia's current experience, it is not hard to see that she does not have a large group of friends. Instead, having 2 of her closest friends is the most socially normal for a teenager in her age. At the same time, we know from the vignette that Mia also had a supportive home system. This means Mia is surrounded by a strong social and emotional support system. In addition, we know from the vignette that Mia is good at sports and visual art, and she also hopes to study visual art in the university. This means that Mia has expectations for the future. Mia has positive goals and can derive well-beings from what she is good at. However, it can be seen from Mia's performance in school that the problems with her phone and failing to keep up with the learning progress have completely covered Mia's source of well-being, resulting in a girl who is in adolescence becoming more vulnerable and sensitive. In other words, Mia was unable to achieve in her area of expertise, and she also experienced trouble keeping up with other classes. There is no doubt that this has a negative effect on Mia's mood. According to Kern's 2015 research report, life satisfaction is significantly related to positive emotions, interpersonal relationships, and achievements, and depression is less. In terms of health variables, positive mood and achievement were associated with better physical activity and vitality, while depression and anxiety were associated with more physical symptoms, and stressful life events were also associated with achievement and depression. Based on Mia's situation, we should not only apply social and emotional learning to help Mia effectively apply to understand and manage emotions, but also to help her achieve positive goals and maintain positive relationships. At the same time, we also need to focus on how to expand Mia's ability to achieve self-worth while achieving well-being and confidence. Mia loves sports, and quality sports can make students fit. While physical fitness is the backbone of quality physical education, physical literate students are also intrinsically committed to their psychomotor abilities and their contribution to well-being and health. Based on Mia's ability to excel in sports and her current rather closed emotional state and social interaction, we can get Mia involved in more sports such as relay race, women's volleyball, rowing, etc. This type of sport can use her interest in sports to help her concentrate better, while effective team play can help Mia have more positive relationships with her partners. It enables Mia to gain health and vitality from physical development. As Luna, Gioro, and Kyoto 2019 discussed in their study, the physical education model can have a positive impact on the psychological variables of adolescence, and their positive benefits include improved basic psychological needs, competence and group belonging, decreased violent attitudes, improved social responsibility and participant relationships, more self-determining behaviour, benefits ranging from enhanced friendships and enhanced sporting goals to improve social relations. Sports can help Mia develop in an all-round way. It can not only promote Mia to play her strengths in the field she is good at and interested in, but also to realise self-recognition development. It can also effectively help her find an outlet and balance point in her emotional and social relationships, enabling her to establish a positive relationship with her friends in terms of social development. In cognitive development, it can help her find the value of life and self-identity. However, this hypothesis does not consider the benefits to Mia's life satisfaction. In other words, this proposal may cause Mia to feel overworked during her adolescence, but overall this approach can provide a meaningful positive impact on Mia's mental and physical development through the use of sport. When Mia has inappropriate anxiety due to emotional and social relationships. Given the positive impact of the physical education model on social relations, this intervention can help reduce Mia's social anxiety, thereby improving her subjective well-being and social anxiety. One of the key developmental issues that Mia is participating in and experiencing is risk-taking behaviour. The vignette suggests that Mia has been participating in risk-taking behaviour, such as cutting school and using her phone during class. Sales and Irwin 2013 suggests that the biopsychosocial model of risk-taking provides a framework in which social and environmental factors, as well as existing biological and psychological predispositions, interact to influence risk-taking behaviour. Using the biopsychosocial model, we can understand and reflect why she is risk-taking through the interactions between biological, social, and psychosocial factors. The biological factors relating to Mia's risk-taking behaviour could be due to her early pubertal timing, as mentioned before. It could also be due to the increased hormones and brain development associated with early puberty. The social factors relating to her behaviour could be due to the negative attention she is receiving online and due to the stress relating to her family's current socioeconomic situation. The psychosocial factors could include Mia's psychological state of mind, which can include anxiousness and stress due to factors such as family's financial situation and the negative attention she is receiving online, as mentioned above. The aim of this strategy is to address the risk-taking behaviour of truancy. In order to address the risk-taking behaviour, we must tackle the issue of cyberbullying, which is the factor most likely keeping Mia from attending school. It is important to note that cyberbullying often happens outside of school rather than in school, yet the consequences of the bullying often wash back into school and often make an impact on student learning. Similar to face-to-face bullying, cyberbullying can have detrimental effects on students, causing low self-esteem, mental health disorders, and impaired academic achievement. Similarly, Lyon et al. 2013 suggests that cyberbullying can cause students to act out and fail to attend school. Encouraging a coordinated approach to preventing and responding to cyberbullying, one that is consistent between parents and school staff, may be especially important since cyberbullying happens across both settings. Promoting parents' responsibility to monitor their child's behaviour may be particularly relevant in cyberspace due to the generation gap in proficiency with rapidly changing technology and the lack of authority in cyberspace. Particularly in Mia's case, her parents are very supportive but struggle with English language skills. Therefore, taking a strength-based approach and creating a school and family partnership can address problems and stress relating to Mia's schooling. Parental involvement has been connected to lowering use inappropriate or risky behaviours, including involvement in violence and victimisation. LSR et al. 2017. Youth who are poorly monitored are at high risk for bullying involvement, both as perpetrators and victims. LSR et al. 2017. By creating an online parental seminar, teachers can advise parents to keep computers or phones in a central place of the house and provide some clear ground rules regarding technology. Teachers that develop a relationship with families can support them in becoming more tech-savvy, including providing them with online computer courses, or in Mia's case, language courses. The seminar may also be available in different language options, or a translator may be used. The teachers can also assist parents in identifying the signs of cyberbullying by providing them with resources that identify signs such as loss of interest in school, anxiety around technology, lower school performance, and difficulty sleeping. One of the advantages of these strategies proposed includes creating communication between Mia and her parents. Moderating and expanding the relationship between Mia and her parents can improve her overall mental health and encourage her to participate in school. A disadvantage can include the miscommunication and overbearing actions that could take place when monitoring Mia's technology. Strict monitoring may have limited effectiveness as adolescents may perceive it as intrusive, over-controlling, and illegitimate.
Hello, it's Yusuf Sabbagh again, and my reflection of the unit, Adolescent Development and Teaching. Honestly, I really enjoyed the unit, and I learned a lot. Especially the way the tutorials were made. Interactive. It helped me focus in class. But let's talk specifics. I really enjoyed the part called Cognitive Foundations. There was one part I really enjoyed was Vygotsky. Now, Vygotsky speaks about zone and proximal development. Essentially what it is he said you can overcome this by mixing the students together. So proximal means they're close to learning this thing, but you have students of high levels and low levels. And those students from low levels, when you mix them with people from high levels, they're able to bounce off one another. The one who's a bit lower, he's able to seek help from the one who's a bit stronger, and the one who's a bit stronger is able to get even stronger by teaching the processes to other people. And as well, because I chose to teach science, mainly chemistry and biology, you have a lot of content heavy. It's very content heavy in general. And when we learn about the cognitive load, how short-term memory you can only go through 2 to 4 concepts at once, it really shapes the way you want to teach your processes. And he kept using the example of ecosystems, how they're content heavy, so you want to break them up. Another topic I really enjoyed was adolescents at risk, because adolescents are very vulnerable, and we went through these vulnerabilities, how they're at risk. And a man by the name of, I just want to memorize his name, Michael Carr Gregg, in 2002, he posed 3 big questions. The first was, am I normal? So that's around early adolescence. Then around middle adolescence, who am I? Around late adolescence, they would say, what is my place in the world? And to move from stage to stage, these kids went through risk-taking behaviors. Often they would go through risk-taking behaviors. And when you understand that, you're able to help these students. Instead of them going through those risk-taking behaviors, you're able to shape the class in a way, you're able to help them. And if you see a child going through something which is quite questionable, you go through group. You gather information. Then you, respond to the actual child. You try to help him out. Is there any way I can help you? And the part I really liked is involve others. Speak to your peers. Perhaps you may speak to the counselor or speak to the guardian. You know, it really opens your mind to matters I never thought of before. You know, the student going through that, you know, that kind of those risks, how to adapt to those. So overall, I enjoyed the unit and I believe I learned a lot.
This unit was beneficial to me in many ways, as it was important for me to understand the psychology of an adolescent in order to guide them and understand them when I become a teacher. Whilst undertaking assignment 2, I learned so much about a person's cognitive function, especially in relation to long-term and short-term memory. It makes so much sense, the way that we deliver content as teachers, that it is crucial to the cognitive development of your students. Even going back to the week 3 lecture and tutorial when we first looked at cognitive function, and we were taught that as teachers, we must give guided questions rather than just telling students to summarize a chapter. We need to direct attention. Whilst also, it is important to not focus too much on problems, because that can start to hinder on content and cause you to miss what's going on around you. I learned that I need to engage with selective attention. This concept is very applicable to my KLA, which is music. Music is such an intricate study, more so from a practical sense than academic sense. It's not like maths or science. It requires students to memorize parts of songs, scales, like major scales, minor scales, also including the different modes like Phrygian, and even how to deliver an engaging yet clear performance without losing the integrity of the piece that you're playing. This requires a lot of attention from me as a music teacher, ensuring that students are given resources to study at home, whilst also be given adequate rehearsal time in school as to aid them in their short-term and long-term memory. This unit and assignment also revealed to me how much of an impact outside sources can have on students. That seems like a no-brainer. Obviously, that's how it works, especially when I consider my own experience whilst in university. However, I believe we as teachers, and just as people in general, can sometimes forget that people struggle or benefit from external sources just like we do as individuals. This assignment in particular has encouraged me to be more considerate of my future students and my fellow peers, as well as giving me the resources to ensure that I am delivering course content as effectively and efficiently as possible. Music can be a source of positivity for students, and this unit has encouraged me to push my students in their strengths whilst also supporting them in their weaknesses. Adolescence can be complicated, but this unit has empowered me to address issues related to that effectively and to guide my students in the most effective way possible in their academic endeavours.
Within this unit, I have come to discover adolescent development theory, research, and practice, and how these could influence my future teaching, practice, and pedagogy. This unit challenged my assumptions regarding adolescents and risk-taking behaviours. Before participating in Assignment 2 and Week 4 content, I understood that adolescents solely conducted risk-taking behaviours due to wanting to act out and have fun. The biopsychosocial model has helped further my understanding of risk-taking by examining how the behavioural system interacts with perceived environments to result in risk-taking. Similarly, I've learned that risk-taking increases between childhood and adolescence as a result of changes around the time of puberty in the brain's socio-emotional system, leading to increased sensation seeking, especially in the influence of peers, fueled mainly by the dramatic remodeling of the brain's dopaminergic system. Therefore, specifically in my chosen area, PHPE, it is vital to understand the behaviours and developmental factors that adolescents are going through in their lives in order to adopt and promote resilience and a sense of rapport in the classroom. I have learnt that adopting and promoting strategies around resilience and coping may potentially reduce high risk-taking behaviours, which can inevitably improve student well-being and safety inside and outside the classroom. The idea is consistent with my beliefs that students' interests, passions, and well-being should be valued, and that they should be given opportunities to develop interdependence, critical, and creative thinking skills. The PHPA syllabus highlights the importance of managing and discussing physical changes associated with puberty. The topic can be rather confronting, but also extremely beneficial. Adolescents with faster or slower rates of puberty maturation can negatively influence their academic performance. Therefore, within my classroom, I'll ensure students learn to recognize that their physical and reproductive change is a normal part of life. A question box will be used to ensure students can ask anonymous questions if they are too afraid to ask within the class. Similarly, cognitive load theory can be beneficial in my second KLA of geography. Cognitive load theory aims to develop instructional techniques that fit within the characteristics of working memory in order to maximize learning. Geography can be a hard subject with lots of mathematical questions, particularly in senior grades. Developing strategies such as giving students a worked example of the problem provides less demand for students and involves less extraneous load, which benefits their learning as students are able to use their working memory on more difficult aspects on a given problem. This unit has empowered me to address issues regarding adolescents in the classroom more specifically.